What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 6 of Demidad's Saturday Sit Down. Welcome, everybody. If you are new or you've watched the last few episodes, there's something different about this episode, and that is that this episode is audio only. And unfortunately, that's how it's going to be for the next few weeks at a minimum, because there's a lot of changes going on in my life. My wife and I are moving. We're going to be moving into a bigger home. Right now, we're in a one-bedroom apartment. So we're going to be moving into a home so that we have more space. And I am down a vehicle. My car, not my car, my wife's car kind of took a poop and is no longer working. So we're down to one car, meaning getting me to the studio has become a little bit more difficult. And I don't want you guys to see our bedroom because it's not always the cleanest. So we're going to go, and I'm working out some stuff with the company I go through to get this podcast on all of the platforms that it is on, because we're trying to figure out a way that the YouTube videos can be counted into the downloads, because in order for me to be able to get sponsors and move and be able to get my podcast out to more platforms and things like that, there is certain milestones that I have to hit. And so the YouTube videos weren't generating downloads that were going into the analytics. And anyway, all this behind the scenes stuff. But so if you're watching this on YouTube and you just see the picture of me, my face in that purple tank top, then it should be counting as downloads towards my analytics. And we're trying to work it out to where that I can do a separate video for that will go towards the analytics. But right now we're just going to do this because with all the changes and everything, this is just easier. But we're going to get to the point, and it might even get to the point where I just have to release both, and you can choose which one you want to watch. Anyway, last week we talked about some hot topics that people wanted to have brought up on the podcast, such as like things like not being afraid to get your kids on medicine or getting help yourself, and how just overdone the whole situation is, where, you know, if coming from a faith-based background, someone or someone that you look up to spiritually will just say, "Hey, I'm praying for you," or "You need to pray harder to get over your stuff." And that's nice. Not saying that you need to pray harder, but it's nice when people say they'll pray for you, and you just have to kind of trust that they do, and you're going to know that person better than I know that person. So if it's always great to have prayers, and it's always great to have people behind you, but it's almost like a cop out of, you need to pray better, you need to read your Bible more, you need to align your disciplines with Jesus a little bit more. And to an extent, that's sometimes true. Like I said, in my experience, sometimes I need to realign myself with the disciplines of meditation or getting in my devotions or reading my Bible or praying or things like that. I mean, that's gonna make my overall life better, and I know that. But to say that that's the reason that I'm experiencing anxiety or depression is just poopy. It's not true. But before we go on, shout out to everybody who has reached out to me and said that they're on meds and they're proud. I've had a few people, who are close to me are like, "Hey, thanks for your podcast. I had to overcome being afraid of or being ashamed of getting help years ago, and and I've always kind of dealt with it, and so now I'm saying, hey, I'm on meds and I'm proud because it makes me who I am." So shout out to everybody. Shout out to all my Wellbutrin people, my Cymbalta, my Zoloft people, Bupropion, Lexapro, all the other people who are on anything else. I mean, I've even done, like, when I'm having little panic attacks or mild anxiety, I will turn to essential oils. And now I'm not a big believer of essential oils, but I do know that the one Ylang Ylang from doTERRA, I love that one. It just makes me feel good. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the smell, but it's not a bad smell. But it just makes me feel good. So I like that. You know, if there's been times in my life where I've been trying to get off medicine because I don't like the way it makes me feel, and I'm trying to allow myself to experience my emotions or work with my doctor to find a medicine that works a little bit better if I'm having mild things, or even, you know, sometimes big things that I'm dealing with. I'll go to essential oils. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Even the foods you eat can affect, you know, anxiety and depression. There's so much going on. There's so much crud that we're eating that is just, it's killing us in more ways than one. So with those things we talked about last week, there was one that I left out, and simply because I wasn't able to pull it up on my computer because I had my computer. I was running the camera, running the audio recording, and just getting back and forth between platforms to read was difficult, because then I would lose access to one thing, and then I didn't want to have to stop the camera. So anyway, so now that we're audio only, it's a little bit easier, because I've got like my phone, I've got like 3 computers in front of me, and I've just got the one record, you know, we're good. Anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and read this. This is some of this is I have not had a personal experience with, but some of it I have. Responding to your Facebook post about your podcast, I have personal experience with church and depression and anxiety and PTSD. The church needs to encourage people to get help from professionals. Praying does not always help, because you need guidance from someone who can help teach you about your body and mind and how they are connecting. Along with processing trauma, I was always just told I need to forgive. But when you go through extreme trauma, like I did, this person, you have to process it with a professional. Otherwise, it leads to problems with depression and PTSD. Also learned a lot with getting a master's in clinical mental health counseling. So this person, if in the future, I would love to have them on the podcast, if they're okay not being anonymous. But so yeah, I love that. I totally agree. I think the church does need to encourage people to get help. And guys, this whole thing with breaking down the stigma of not talking about our mental health and not talking about issues we have, we are winning. Every single week, I'm seeing more and more people, like, you know, well-known YouTubers or people who are in the spotlight. You know, even Justin Bieber. You know, he's opened up about his issues, and there's a new Britney Spears documentary. I haven't watched it, but I know, like, you know, like, we may have given her a bad rap, you know, back when, in, what was it, 2007, when she was going through her stuff. Like, this stuff is so much deeper, and people just have to hide it. Well, there's no hiding anymore, because people are coming out of the woodwork, and we're realizing that we are not as different as we think we are. But yeah, so I watched the YouTuber that I watch. I'll just shout him out. Goody Beats. He's like a fitness YouTuber and a keto guy, and he's this super duper positive person. It's almost like annoyingly positive sometimes, but he came out in a video and just laid out his issues and his struggles and how, you know, he feels like he just has to be happy all the time, and he's never really felt like that before. Like we're winning. This stigma that we can't talk about having issues it's breaking down, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So yeah, I think the church really does need to talk about, or not talk about, really needs to support people getting help and helping them find professional help, because isn't that what the church is there for? The church is to help people and grow them towards the Lord. And if there is depression and anxiety that is making a person not be themselves, then it affects every other aspect of their life. So So thank you to this person. Um, I've never had any experience with PTSD. One of my best friends was in the Marines, and I know that he's had a lot of stuff with anxiety and depression and PTSD and just full brain issues because of it. And he's going to be on the podcast in the future for sure. And you're not going to want to miss that because it's going to get crazy. He's a very intense guy, so that'll be fun. But yeah, the church needs to step up in a way, and I'm challenging them because I've experienced that in the past where I've had issues and I've had struggles, and instead of and when bringing them to the church, instead of being encouraged and being loved, I felt ostracized and shut out. So yeah, so that's definitely important. I'm gonna check my time real quick. I don't know how long this is. I don't know, 11 minutes. I'm gonna try and keep this short. So today we're gonna talk about fears, and I have a lot of fears with the change, things like that come up. Like I said, we're moving to a house that is almost double what we're paying now, so that's fun. This market in Boise right now is ridiculous, where houses that were going for 180 to 230, 230,000 are now going for 450 to 5, which is just ridiculous. And so rent prices have hiked, but we need the space. So we're moving. Finances, we're working that out. It's gonna work. We're paying off about like $10,000 worth of debt in this next coming week, so that's very exciting. But a lot of change and a lot of fear, and some of my fears. Like I never was afraid to die. That coming off hot. I was never afraid to die when I was younger, but recently, that's been like the number one fear in my mind, of just like going to sleep at night and not waking up. Like I think I mentioned this on one of the very first episodes, but just like going to sleep and then not waking up. And I think the reason that this is more of a fear now is because my wife is like 7-8 months pregnant. My son is going to be 3 in May, and just me growing up without a dad and the trauma from that, of just one day him being here, then the next day him having a heart attack, and then no longer being here, just the trauma from that. Like, I do not want that for my kids, and I do not want that for Jordan. And so just trying to deal with that and juggle that. And obviously sometimes it's kind of a fear that is not rational, but it is, because you never know when we're going to go. I mean, I could walk out in the street and just get hit by a bus, or like I said, go to sleep and not wake up, or be in a fire. And, these things just freaking terrify me. I don't want to live a life that comes from fear. I want to live a life that comes from hope. The hope that Jesus has brought us, and the hope that we see when we experience love, or we show, someone shows kindness. Like, it just gives us hope for humanity and hope for the world. And so I want to be that light and be that for someone. And if I'm constantly thinking about fear and how it's paralyzing me, then I'm not doing my job as a person on this earth. I'm not doing what I'm called to do. Isaiah 41:10 in the Bible says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand." I think I'm going to write a book. About anxiety and depression. Like I said, I'm not a health professional, but I'm just a dude who's experienced a lot of lows and a lot of highs and a lot of in-betweens. So, um, but yeah, so we're going to talk about things that I've done to overcome some of my fears. I mean, some of them are rational. I'm a fear of heights, a fear of, um, like I said, death, fear of butterflies, which is really stupid. Because I mean, I'm not kidding. I hate butterflies. I mean, from the distance they're fine, but if they get close to me, nope, I'm out of there. We went to after my son Roman was stillborn. We went to the butterfly exhibit at the Boise Zoo because butterfly kind of was his animal and his representation. The hospital had a butterfly room, and so when we think of butterflies, when we see butterflies, we think of Roman. But we went to the butterfly exhibit, and man, I almost couldn't take it. I think I might have walked out halfway through. I could not handle it. Basically, they just put you in a cage, and they put you in a cage where there's 500,000 butterflies flying all around you, landing on you. You have to watch where you step because you're going to step on them. They're like, there's one that landed on my hand and crawled in between my fingers, and I was like, I can't move my hand or else I'm going to crush it. And I can't flail like I wanted to because I was freaking terrified. But anyway, so that's a really irrational fear because I don't think anyone's ever died from a butterfly attack. I mean, I don't know. Mothra, took over a city. That was a dumb joke, sorry. Anyway, so how can we kind of overcome these, and how can we live a life of love and hope instead of paralyzing fear that I that I currently deal with? Number one, avoid avoidance. The only way to deal with fear is to face it. I've talked about this too when I'm trying to deal with like a addiction that I've had, like with fast food or something. I've talked to my wife, loves sugar. I've talked to her about this too. I told her, on a day that you're feeling really powerful and you're feeling like you can resist temptation, walk down the candy aisle at Walmart, because you're going to walk through that knowing that you can defeat it. You're going to feel victorious and you're going to feel empowered. And so, like, if you struggle with alcohol and you're finding victories over your addiction, and you want to continue that growth. Now, alcohol's a hard one because this is not one to mess with. So only if you can know for 100% that you're going to overcome it, walk down the wine aisle, at Walmart. Drive past a liquor store. I mean, this is probably really bad advice when it comes to alcoholism because I don't know much about it. So don't quote me on that. But the point I'm trying to get across is when you are finding victories and you're empowered, overcoming your fears, look for ways that you can face them in a controlled environment where you can come out victorious and find a little victory. Like, maybe I go outside when it gets warmer and I try and let a butterfly land on my hand and not kill it because I don't want to kill it because I love butterflies. I just, thinking about them crawling on me just, grosses me out. Anyway, so I hope that made sense. Another one, promote positivity. We need to change our way of thinking and not look from an inward perspective, but look to an outward perspective and think about other people's experiences and what they're going through. Like, the saying goes that everyone has a battle that you know nothing about, or everyone's facing a battle you know nothing about. Well, everyone also has an entire lifetime worth of experiences and good and bad things that happen to them that you know nothing about. Same way how nobody knows anything about you, unless if, they're really close to you and you tell them. But we need to quit being such a selfish people. And I'm being bold about that because I hate that. Here's a good example. Next time someone's telling you a story, resist the urge to tell them the story that you're thinking of about yourself as they're telling you the story about them. Like when someone's telling you a story about them, you're automatically thinking like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to say next. So you're not even listening to them. You may be listening, but you're also thinking like, oh yeah, that's crazy. That happened to me once. Now I'm going to tell you my point of it. No, just listen. Third, get support. We talked about that. 4, go for a walk. If you're a photographer, go take pictures of trees or animals or, get out in nature. And the last point, practice self-compassion. Give yourself a break. Quit being so hard on yourself. Like, you are a beautiful person who deserves everything. And you are working extremely hard. You're doing a great job. You're doing everything you can. Just give yourself a break. Give yourself a pat on the back. Eat a bowl of ice cream and relax. Life doesn't have to be so hard all the time. Again, with the getting out and walking in nature, maybe pick up an exercise routine, maybe go for a run, it's March 6th right now. Get outside. It's going to start warming up here pretty soon. Get outside. Today I went fishing on the Boise River, and it was nice until I got out of my car and it was like 48 degrees and raining, but I still went fishing and I was drenched afterwards. But yeah, like I joined a bodybuilding transformation challenge that's been going on just to help myself, really take advantage of, or not take advantage, but really take control of my health and my weight, and because I'm a bigger boy. But by the way, if you want to follow that journey, you can go YouTube Demidad Fitness. You'll find it there. I think I've got a couple of videos. I'm going to be releasing some more on there. But yeah, get out. Give yourself a break. Love yourself. Realize you're doing the best you can, and that is good enough. And, sweat every once in a while. Go for a walk. Take a breath. Don't let life cripple you, because it will cripple you. If you are constantly thinking about your student loans, you're going to constantly be thinking about your student loans. And that's what it is. You have to give yourself a break. So we're gonna close it up. We're at the 23-minute mark. I love you guys. Get out there. Go do something kind for somebody. Stay well. Stay healthy. Have a good week. Peace.